1984-85 was a special season for the Edmonton Oilers, and the fans honoring that team as the best team in the 100-year history of the National Hockey League. And one of those distinguished members, Glenn Anderson, joins us now. Glenn, when you hear that you were a member of the best team in hockey of all time, what does that mean to you? How much of an honor is it to a guy like yourself?
I think it means everything. I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of, that's why you play the game. It's not an individual award. You play because of the team and the player that you're playing beside and sit beside in the locker room every day. And it's a phenomenal honor, and just humbled by it because of the fact that there were so many great teams. Montreal Canadiens, the Boston Bruins, the Philadelphia Flyers, the New York Rangers, the Toronto Maple Leafs. The list goes on, and to be ranked number one by the fans and people out there it's an incredible honor. There
were so many milestones and records that a multitude of you guys broke that season. Why do you think the fans think that was the best team of all time and the best Oilers team? Because, you guys had some outstanding, and that's an understatement, outstanding hockey teams.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough that the team stuck together. So a bunch of teenagers growing up throughout the ranks with and picking guys up. Slats did a great job by bringing in, Kevin Lowe, Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, Yari Curry,
yourself,
Grant Fuhr, and myself. But as young kids growing up and sticking together, like in today's game, you don't have that capability. You might be able to keep 2 or 3 key players on your team, but keeping 5, 6, 7 Hall of Fame guys is very, very rare, and we were lucky that we stuck together and we played for each other, and basically we all wanted to do the same thing, and that's win the Stanley Cup.
You guys were defending Stanley Cup champions that season. How much swagger and how much of a strut did each individual on that team have, having won the Stanley Cup the prior season? Because Glenn Sather apparently set the tone with his swagger and his strut, but how much did you guys have after winning that first one?
Well, that's what makes it so difficult. It's hard enough to get there, so it was a learning curve. We had to lose before we could win. So as far as learning how to win, so every time we lost, especially in '81 to the Islanders, losing to a devastating loss to the Miracle on Manchester with LA, and then losing in the final and getting swept by the New York Islanders again in '83. So our losses, we learned how to win. So we didn't lose the lesson. And then when we finally won, we didn't want to get knocked off. We were kings of the castle, but we didn't want to get knocked off. And we wanted to be on top of that hill. And to do that was even harder.
This is a bit of a different question, but if that 84-85 team had to play, say, the 76-77 Habs, how do you think that would go in a 7-game series?
Probably 9. Probably go.
People would want 9 games out of those teams,
It would be probably one of those never-ending series that you just kind of, it goes into overtime. Oh my God, it goes into overtime again. Oh my God, it goes into overtime.
People would be glued to their TVs. They wouldn't be taking you guys off the air back then. Are you ever bewildered or mesmerized by what you guys were able to accomplish back then to the nowadays? Because it's been 30-odd years.
We knew that we were good, and even almost to a point where it was, you look back and you kind of embarrassed yourself at 20 years old, where we were sitting on the bench and we were cheering ourselves on, like we were saying, here we go Oilers, here we go. And it was kind of a learning curve, and we had to learn how not to intimidate the other team by saying, "Oh, that team is not that good," and that get through the teams as quickly as possible. And that was the key ingredient, is that you didn't want to play an extra game if you didn't have to, because you're risking the chance of going the distance or someone else getting hurt, someone key, and that usually happens. So as soon as you can eliminate a team, and it's always the hardest, is winning that 4th game. The quicker the better, and you can move on and be successful.
And finally, as the years go on and it's seeing you guys reunite, how much more special does it become the older you guys get to gather and celebrate these great teams that you guys had?
Well, you find that's the only time you get together is when these anniversaries,
Right.
as they're going on, and as I mentioned earlier, that's a sign of us getting really old. So I don't know how much longer.
Distinguished.
Yeah, okay, you could call it that. It was like,
Distinguished,
it just privileged and honored to be fortunate enough to be part of those teams and organizations that were classy and professional. I mean, they don't get any professional. It was like we were lucky, and you have to be good. You got to be lucky, and you got to have the right breaks, and you got to have everything going in the right direction. And a lot of teams, even Pittsburgh, can vouch for this. Is that you got to be lucky to win 2 in a row these days. It's very hard.
Glenn, it's a privilege and an honor to have you, as always.
Thanks, and go Oil.
That's right, Glenn Anderson.